A regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the McAllen Independent School District will be held Monday, February 26, 2018, beginning at 5 p.m. in the boardroom/administration building of the McAllen Independent School District at 2000 North 23rd Street, McAllen, Texas. At this meeting, there may be discussion and action taken by the board on the items and subjects listed as follows. Items listed on this agenda may be taken in an order other than those shown on this agenda. The regular business portion of the meeting for the public, beginning with agenda item number 3, will begin at approximately 6 p.m. Right now, we'll recess to closed session. The Board of Trustees may go into closed session pursuant to sections 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. A, human resource recommendations for the school year 2017-2018. B, human resource employee resignations for school year 2017-2018. C, pending and/or potential litigation. And D, possible real estate acquisition. So at 5:06 p.m., this board is now in closed session.
Welcome audience members in the meeting room today, as well as those watching over the computers or mobile devices. It is now 6 o'clock p.m. and we are reconvening the 5 p.m. regular board meeting in open session. For the record, no action was taken by the board in closed session. Would everybody please stand for the invocation, Debbie Aliceda, and followed by the pledge by Marcos Suarez.
Dear God, we have come together in your name to work for the good of our schools. Stay with us with your invisible presence and pour your spirit upon us. Make us your gifts in a spirit of trust and guidance, in a spirit of prudence and understanding, so that the children of our district may experience an abundance of learning, compassion, and peace. Let harmony reign among us, and let us keep our eyes ever fixed on you. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
First item, 6A, recognition and proclamations. Item A, recognition of Mariachi Vargas Best in the U.S. Mariachi Vocal Competition finalists. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, sir. Tonight we recognize 4 McAllen ISD students that are considered to be some of the finest mariachi vocalists in the United States. Dr. Ibarra will introduce the students, teachers, and administrators. Dr. Ibarra.
Thank you. The McAllen ISD Fine Arts Department is pleased to recognize 3 MISD students that were selected as finalists for the 23rd Annual Mariachi Vargas Best in the U.S. Vocal Competition. It is a true honor to have these students represent McAllen High School and McAllen ISD at this level. They competed with 42 finalists across all divisions, including elementary, middle school, high school, and college university level. Winners in each category, first, second, and third place, were selected by members of the world-renowned Mariachi Vargas de Tecatitlan. The competition took place Friday, December 1st and Saturday, December 2nd at the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center in San Antonio, Texas. With us today are the 3 talented vocal finalists and members of the McAllen High School Mariachi Viola. They are Cristina Lopez, freshman, Destiny Negrete, junior, Alex Trevino, senior. Also joining us tonight is Cameron Ramirez, senior from McAllen High School. In December 2015, Cameron was named the best in the U.S. mariachi vocalist at the 21st Annual Mariachi Vargas Extravaganza. She was a feature vocal soloist at the Mariachi Vargas Extravaganza Gala concert on Saturday, December 2nd. Also joining us is Alex Trevino and David Moreno, McAllen High School Mariachi directors. Mr. Albert Canales, McAllen High School principal. And Mr. Jim Egger, Fine Arts Director.
You guys can stay on the first step. Yeah. Center a little bit.
Yeah, y'all further down here. Down.
Are we gonna take a picture real quick? Big smiles, everyone. 1, 2, 3.
Parents, please feel free to take pictures, please.
Well, thank you so much, first of all, to our board, to our superintendent for having us here, for recognizing these kids for their efforts. I know there's a lot of great things that happen in McAllen ISD. We would never finish with so many great things across academic, sports, and music. So we're really thankful for you guys, for everything that you guys do for our kids, and for recognizing their efforts as well. There was one young lady that couldn't be here with us. She's rehearsing for a big performance at Borderfest on the weekend, so she wasn't able to make it, but she thanks you. Her parents thank you as well. And what can I say about all our mariachi kids, especially these 3 right here that were recognized as finalists for this year's competition. Really proud of all of them. Ms. Cameron Ramirez as well, 2 years ago, winning it all. Best in the U.S. vocalist. She got to perform at the University of Michigan, at different places as well. Invited to Colorado, so she's a very big addition to our group, and we are very proud of her as well as the rest of the kids. So thank you guys once again. Muchas gracias.
And parents, please stand to be recognized. Parents.
Thank you guys. Mr. Regger, of course.
Item 6B, recognition of Texas Music Educators Association All-State Music Students. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. At this time, Dr. Ibarra will recognize our outstanding all-state music students. Dr. Ibarra.
Yes, thank you. The Fine Arts Department is honored to present 4 music students representing McAllen High School, Memorial High School, and Rowe High School who earned placement in the Texas Music Educator Association All-State Ensemble for 2017-2018. These students participated in 3 levels of rigorous auditions and competed against over 60,000 other music students from across the state before being selected. From the McAllen High School Choir, under the direction of Rigo Reyes, Gina Eason, she's a senior alto 1. This is Gina's first year as an all-stater. And Ambi Tanner is Gina's private lesson teacher. I'm sorry, it's Gianna. Gianna Eason. Apologize about that. From the McAllen High School Orchestra, under direction of Aaron Tobar, Sofia Garcia is a senior cello player. This is Sophia's first year in the All-State Orchestra. Benjamin Ponder, Brown Middle School Orchestra Director, Sophia's private lesson teacher. From the Memorial High School Choir, under direction of Omar Samaniego, Shannon Wood, he's a senior baritone. This is Shannon's first year as an All-American, All-Stater. Omar Samaniego is Shannon's private lesson teacher. From the Rowe High School Choir, under the direction of Stacy Gonzalez, Ashley Alvarado. Ashley is a senior soprano 2. This is Ashley's second year as an all-state choir member. Vera Ojeda, Rowe High School Assistant Choir Director, Ashley private lesson teacher. Also joining us is Mr. Jim Egger, Director of Music Education. If any of the parents are here, please stand to be recognized.
Yeah, let me get. And then let's get you guys to come down, and then we'll get the board members behind you guys. That's perfect right there. Okay, big smiles, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. One more. Oh, the parents.
Just before you go, I just want to say a few words, just because I understand the process and been part of it, whether you made All-State Choir or another one. It's a lengthy process. There's a lot of hard work that these kids put into it, and there's a lot of support by the staff at their high schools. There's a lot of extra in middle schools that they do. So I just wanted, Mr. Egger, you supported fine arts in McAllen. We're second to none across the state. We have our staff can compete against any staff anywhere, and this is this is proof of that. Our kids can compete with anybody. So I just want to say thank you all for all your hard work you do, and also the parents, because it's also a lot of hard work getting them to the private trainings and all that. So thank you very much. Thank you.
This was also a very special year because Dr. Gonzalez served on the TMEA Advisory Committee, and he was up there. He got to witness the rehearsal. So I thought maybe you might want to say a few words.
Absolutely. What a phenomenal experience it was to be at that level with that level of just talent. And as Trustee Conrado Alvarado stated, our students hung in there and they competed at a top-notch level, a world-class level. And we know that there's a direct correlation between music and academic performance. So to see these kids performing at that level on the music side is just proof that our board and our administration is doing great work. I do want to commend Mr. Egger. Thank you for your leadership. All of our students, keep doing what you do. Let's keep building this program. And it's just part of the beauty of McAllen ISD is what we do with our fine arts department. So thank you.
Item 6C, recognition of Lamar Academy International Bachelor Volunteer Organization by the Quinta Mazatlan World Birding Center. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. Tonight we recognize the Lamar IB students who volunteered at Quinta Mazatlan World Birding Center. And at this time, Dr. Ibarra will introduce our wonderful students.
Yes, thank you. The Lamar Academy IB Volunteer Organization started as an IB Seniors Community Action and Service Project in 2013 under the guidance of Marisa Sarabando. Since that time, 6 different teams of seniors have led the organization, each year increasing the outreach and number of hours logged in by the organization. This past year, the organization reached new heights in volunteerism by clocking in so many hours that Quinta Mazatlan has recognized the group as Quinta Mazatlan's Volunteers of the Year for 2017. Quinta Mazatlan works to enrich people's lives by sharing knowledge about birds, plants, and environmental stewardship in South Texas. At this time, I would like to present President Catherine Scalisi.
Great job.
Jeffrey Jabs, Madeline Garza, Isabella Pimentel, Victoria El Khoury, Cassandra Garza, and their principal, Ms. Cindy Peña. Director of Advanced Academics also joining us tonight, Ms. Karen Nitsch.
We had a lot of fun doing this too, right?
And parents, please stand to be recognized.
All right, you guys come down to the first step. Perfect, right there. All right, big smiles, everyone. 1, 2, 3.
Parents? Congratulations.
Good job, guys.
This time, we're going to recess the 5 o'clock meeting and open the 6:15 meeting for public comment. There's nobody signed up, so we'll close the 6:15 meeting for public comment, and we'll reconvene the 5 o'clock meeting at 6:16. Item 6D, recognition of Nancy Dillard, TMEA Distinguished Administrator Award. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. Tonight we recognize Ms. Nancy Dillard, principal at Rayburn Elementary. Ms. Dillard has been selected by the Texas Music Educator Association as the TMEA Distinguished Administrator. Dr. Ibarra will introduce our outstanding principal.
And now we have Ms. Nancy Dillard. Ms. Dillard was awarded this honor for outstanding commitment to preserving quality music education experiences for all her students. Congratulations, Ms. Dillard. Mr. Egger, please join us. Is she your music teacher? What is her name? Sophia Holmes. And also join us, music teacher from Rayburn Elementary, Sophia Arguelles. Thank you for being here.
Certificate.
Sophia.
And it just in the first step. Go up one
You want me taller?
Yeah, please.
First.
All right, very good. All right, big smiles, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Very good.
We got one more picture.
Is your mom here?
One more.
Parents?
No parents here.
I got some staff members here. That's right.
Thank y'all for coming, Rayburn.
Thank you.
Item 6E was pulled. Item 6F, proclamation regarding Texas Public Schools Week, February 26th through March 2nd, 2018. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. We have a proclamation announcing Texas Public Schools Week, which began at the end of this month. Our schools are set to hold open house during that week as well. Mr. Conrado Alvarado will be reading the proclamation at this point, but I will turn it over to Norma Zamora-Guerra before we do that.
Yes, each year schools across the great state of Texas select a theme to celebrate public education. This year's theme is Texas Public Schools, the clear choice for education. And of course, we add McAllen ISD, the clear choice for education. And Texas Public Schools Week takes place this week, Monday, February 26th through Friday, March 1st. Today, we have representatives from our high schools, some of our superintendent student ambassadors assisting us. They are Benjamin Arellano from Mac High, Chelsea Mendez from Rowe, and Veronica Doherty from Rowe. And now Mr. Alvarado will be reading the proclamation.
I'm going to say hi. Oh my God. Proclamation, State of Texas, County of Hidalgo, McAllen Independent School District. Whereas the students of our state's public schools hold a promise of a successful future in their capable hands. And whereas McAllen Independent School District provides the tools, framework, and solid foundation that is vital towards the future of our children. And whereas the dedicated efforts of parents, educators, and community leaders will provide the necessary support and strength to our schools, giving our children a quality education. And whereas students will attain a higher level of achievement because of the commitment to excellence and focus on continued improvement in our schools. And now, therefore, I, Condor Alvarado, member, Board of Trustees, McAllen Independent School District, do hereby proclaim the week of February 26th through March 2nd, 2018 as Texas Public School Week. We urge all citizens to support the theme, the clear choice for education, by taking the time to share with others why they choose public education. And when this, whereof I hereby set my hand, cause the seal of the County School District on this 26th day of February, signed by myself and tested by Debbie Crane, our Secretary of Board of Trustees. So thank you, students, for being here.
This item is for approval. Have a motion?
I move to approve. Second.
A motion by Mr. Vela, second by Mr. Suarez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
And while we're preparing for a photograph, I would like to say that several of our schools will be having open house on Tuesday, February 27th. Elementary schools will be 5 to 6:30 p.m., Lamar Academy 5:30 to 6:30, ING Center 5:30 to 7, and middle school 6 to 7:30. On Thursday, Achieve Early College High School will hold open house from 5 to 6:30, and Mac High Memorial and Rowe from 5:30 to 7. And of course, we invite members of the community to come visit, to join us as we celebrate public education, to see how our students are inspired to make ever-increasing gains, to explore career options, and to excel in new opportunities. Thank you. Okay.
All right, can you just lift it up a little bit? Right, perfect. All right, big smiles. 1, 2, 3. Awesome, thank you.
That's it.
Everybody heard you.
Yes, sir.
Item 6G, recognition of McAllen High School Avid Demonstration Campus. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. The AVID National Demonstration Schools are exemplary models of advancement via individual determination college readiness systems, and demonstration schools undergo a rigorous validation process and are required to be revalidated every few years to ensure high levels of implementation with quality and fidelity to the AVID strategies worldwide. McAllen High School has earned the AVID demonstration title for 3 years. Dr. Ibarra, please tell us more.
Yes, we're very proud of McAllen High School and its staff and students for receiving this recognition. And we're going to go ahead and start with Mr. Albert Canales, principal.
All
right, good job.
Cindy Olivares, Dean. Sal Flores, Avid Administrator. Jennifer Lopez, Avid Coordinator. Holly De Leon, Avid Teacher. Kimberly Henry, Avid Teacher. Ruben Macias, Administrator. Angela Allen, Administrator. Also, we have 3 students joining us. Natalia Morin. Benjamina Arellano. And Yurika Gonzalez. Once again, congratulations.
Great job.
Maybe you can hold it, because you actually were there.
Yeah, I think you guys could fit all in the first step.
Do it right there?
I think they could all fit in the first step and you guys go behind it. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, hold it right here. This is the drum roll part. Right, this is where you get the drum roll. Now that's
Very good.
awesome.
Just pull it a little bit more to your side. Yeah. All right, very good. Yeah, this is good. All right. Good picture. Big smiles. One. I'm sorry. Just lift it a little bit. Right there. There you go. 1, 2, 3. Can you get one more? Or 5 more? 1, 2, 3. Very good. Thank you.
Great job, guys.
I think it's important that we have a few words from this week. This is a tremendous honor. So I don't know who you want to.
Our principal, Alvin.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, just thank you to the teachers.
You gotta go up to the mic right over there. You're getting yelled at already, huh?
What was I talk about? To the mic. Just a big accomplishment for our school district, our staff, our administrative team, Mr. Flores for his dedication, the teachers for dedication, and the students. It's amazing to see stuff at this level, and you don't get to see that all the time. And when the demonstrator came in, we always look for the 2-year, 3-year validation. I mean, she was 3 with no doubt. So in the morning, she's like, y'all got this down. We can see it already. So, it's good stuff for kids. It closes the achievement gap with our students. It keeps us on our toes with high level of rigor and stuff. So a big shout out to my whole McAllen administrative team, my student body, and then all of my AVID teachers, and then my entire campus for using the AVID Wicker strategies across the curriculum. Thank you, board members, also, and Dr. Gonzalez for your support. So we wouldn't be able to do it without your support. And then, of course, our parents that are on our team, our site-based team, or our site team, also with their support. So we appreciate everybody's help. Thank you all.
Very well.
Great job, Sam.
Thank you.
I want to thank all the staff and participants for being here tonight. Job well done. Item 7, board committee, and district reports. 7A, board committee reports. Item number 1, instructional service briefing, Chair Alvarado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Crane and I had a meeting last week with Dr. Ibarra. We had a few proclamations and a few things that we'll be moving here in a few minutes.
Thank you. Item A2, business operations briefing, Chair, which is myself. Mr. Vela and myself met on Friday with Lorena Garcia, and there she comes now. I was just gonna say she's missing. We met on Friday, and the bulk of the conversation dealt with the budget workshop, which was the first one that was held this afternoon. Thank you, some good information. Item A3, district operations briefing, Chair Marcos Suarez.
Thank you, Mr. Esparza. We had to meet separately with Dr. Barrera. I was out of town, but I know Mr. Esparza met with him, and Dr. Barrera and I spoke. There's several items that will be discuss today. Perhaps one of the most important ones is our monthly report from FM&O. There's some other bids that are up for approval, and we'll talk about those when we get there.
Thank you, Ms. Forrest. Item 7A4, Human Resources Briefing, Chair Debbie Aliceta.
We're just going to have one thing on the agenda. It's just a matter of housekeeping.
Thank you. 7B, District Reports, report regarding facilities, maintenance, and operation projects. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. This is a monthly report from the Facilities Maintenance and Operation Department. Dr. Barrera and Ruben Trevino are here to guide us through this month's projects, and this item is for information only. Dr. Barrera?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everybody, and we invite Mr. Ruben Trevino. He's our Executive Director for Facilities to give his monthly report, and we use a slideshow to accompany this.
Good evening. This is the Facilities Maintenance Operations listing of projects that we currently have going on with the department. Our first completed project here is the Roosevelt Elementary Security Entrance Upgrade. This is the third or fourth that we have already done a makeover on the front entrances to further secure another layer of security, and we're currently working on additional campuses as we speak and moving forward with that. We have
I'm sorry, Mr. Trevino, before you go on, how many more elementary schools do we have left? Two or
Right
three?
now, we are currently looking at about 3 more additional schools.
And then as far as, will all of them have an area where they can walk in, or we still need more after that?
That is just creating an entrance to where visitors coming into the campus, they have a window, reception window to go to and not directly walk into the flow of kids or anybody, or a hallway or an open area. The other layer of security that we're looking into purchasing is the camera that is installed on the exterior door,
Okay.
where you're able to access, open, close the exterior door to the building from inside the office.
But our 27 elementaries, most of them have an entrance where they can put their buzz in
Yes,
anyway,
all
right?
20 yes.
So we have 3 left. Do we have any more after that?
No, sir.
No. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Suarez, you have a question?
I mean, I don't need the exact answer, but the glass that we have there, it's not just a normal piece of glass, right? It's a certain
Yes.
thickness. It is.
Tempered glass, normal glass.
Anybody else? I have a question, Ruben. We're looking at just elementaries right now. I know there was some concern, some talk about the middle schools. Is there any plans?
In the last couple of weeks, maybe up to a month back, we started the process already with the middle schools and the high schools. We currently have plans to start over spring break with De Leon with the reception window. I met out there with principal and assistant principal at De Leon. We're looking at different options, not only the reception window, but installing some secure entrances to that campus, as well as securing the gates on the exterior. Also met with the principal at Kathy, Mr. Benford. If you recall at Kathy, you walk straight into a hallway from the front door. The option that we're looking at for Kathy is there's a window to your left hand as you're walking into the front door. We're looking at the possibility of creating an entrance and reorganizing the reception area to where you're gonna be buzzed in from the exterior into the main office. Brown is another one that we're currently looking at. Travis has the capability of putting the security doors because we're gonna control traffic from the exterior one. And Lincoln is another one that we're also looking at, putting the secondary doors. Over at the high schools, Rowe is one of the high schools out of the 4 that has a potential or capability that we've already started at stopping the traffic before you go into the flow from the library to the front office. We have a set of wrought iron gates that are there. We're looking into modifying that front area and also installing a reception window, which is a storage room that the library had. We cut that into a small section to where we're now going to have a reception window over at Rowe. And Memorial, we're looking at Memorial as well with the possibility with a new camera system that was demonstrated last week to possibly taking care of the courtyard in front, so before you even walk into the courtyard, you would be buzzed in from the front area of the office. And then McHigh would be something similar. As far as Achieve, we're looking at potential fencing for the campus, completely all the way around, and securing the front entrance as well. The only challenge we have with Achieve would be the staff development building with traffic going in and out, and the portables with children moving back and forth from the portables to the main building.
In our workshop on Wednesday, are we, this one area, we're gonna go in more detail, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anybody else, questions? Thank you, Ruben.
And our workshop is at 6 o'clock this Wednesday on this matter, right? Okay.
Thank you. Continue.
Next slide is the two major leaks that we had. We had two at Rowe and one major one at Jackson Elementary. Those have been taken care of. Those were main water lines running out by the cafeteria and one by the gym area. Ongoing projects, this is a whiteboard installation project that has been ongoing. At the last meeting, the question was asked on how many whiteboards were left to install and how many have been ordered. Business office and warehouse have ordered the Memorial, Alvarez, and Lincoln whiteboard that you see on the left. We've also gone out to the several campuses and assessed how many classrooms, how many whiteboards are needed with principals. Total right now left to install are 315, and we're adding a contingency of maybe 35 extra ones that warehouse will now keep in stock, which brings the total to about 350, more or less, give or take. There's been some concerns with some major tree safety concerns at the different campuses. The crews have gone out and worked on over weekends when children are not present or staff. We've addressed these concerns with the city as well to make sure that they're on the same page when we're removing some of these larger trees and that they're a safety concern to our kids and staff at the schools, and therefore go with some of their recommendations. The security huts, as I mentioned, we'll be relocating the Rowe security hut further east to be able to control traffic going into that drive in front of Rowe. The McKay security hut, we're in discussions right now with PD to moving it to where you're able to go through the hut before you even drive in. Right now the hut was too far south, so it allowed traffic to either flow through the drop-off lane and the traffic turning into the front of the school. So we're in discussion right now for a new location now that we're going to be rebuilding it, and we should have that finalized here in the next couple days. And the district-wide painting continues district-wide as well. The Garza Elementary roof replacement is ongoing currently. We have about a day to 2 days left, weather permitting, to having the main building waterproof already. The hallway or the corridor is the only one that is still pending work, and then the final details will be done in the next couple of weeks to come. The Gonzalez Elementary roof, we received bids last week, and we'll be presenting the bids for the Gonzalez replacement this next meeting. This here is a district-wide chiller replacement schedule. This will address, or this shows, I think it's a series of 3 slides. This will show the chillers that we currently have in the district, from the oldest to the newest. I know the question was brought up in the last meeting. Here you have the 6 chillers that have been ordered, and we are anticipating installation by May, June, the latest of this year. On the next slide, you'll see the 4 chillers that we'll have to replace this coming year, and that will have had us caught up for the 2018 or 1920 year. This last 6 that we've ordered already I believe brings the count to, I think 18 or 19, 18 chillers in the last, with these 6, it'll be 18 chillers in 3 years that we have replaced already.
I wanted to just point out, back to this slide here, where the next one in line there is Memorial. It's a 20-year-old chiller, and its estimated life category there, it's gone 5 years. It's lasted us 5 years beyond its estimated life, and followed by the other 3 at 4 years as well. So it speaks to how well they take care and maintain the equipment, and it's held up for a fair amount of time.
This next slide is the fire alarm district-wide replacement schedule as well that we've been following, that we put together. These are the 4 systems that have already been board approved and are fixing to get going. Alvarez Central Office, HR, Lamar, and Lincoln. This will have caught us up. On the next slide, you'll see that Cathy Middle School has, the replacement date is 2020. And then after that, you've got Crockett and then Navarro to follow, along with Castañeda. But this is 12 fire alarm upgrades that we've done here in the last 3.5 years. And we've caught up on that. And the January work order submitted 1,112, completed 930 for the month of January. And that concludes my report for the ongoing and complete projects, the FMO.
Any questions? Board?
Yes, Mr. President.
Sullivan?
Thank you, Trustee Esparza. Mr. President, again, going back to a timeline for the plans for the middle schools, the double entrances, and the high school, either buzzed in or double entrances, what time frame are we looking at for our proposal to come on for the boards for consideration?
We want to have those discussions at our workshop. At this point, we don't have a timeline. As soon as we possibly can. I know that there's funding that we would have to talk to the board about as we make recommendations, but before we get to the workshop, we'll have some strong recommendations and timelines that are solid.
Now, in the short term, are we looking at a buzzed-in system for the high schools and the middle schools?
Yes, sir.
So even before they get into the front entrance, into that atrium area, they would have to be buzzed in by someone that's monitoring the doors?
Yes, sir.
What's the timeline on that for installation?
One of the things that we're doing right now, I know, for example, at Mac High, we haven't looked at a buzzing system it's going to be in the next couple of weeks, but we do have a kiosk that we're going to make where a police officer is going to be stationed there, and we want to follow suit at our secondary schools. So every campus that has a police officer, we want to have some presence there too. So as far as the locks, I know that we met with some gentlemen that had the camera lock system, and that's something that we wanted to present to the board so that we can get an idea of how fast we can make it happen. It would require some additional funding.
Now, camera locks, you're talking about the main entrances?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, is there any been discussion regarding the gates? At one time, there was discussion about having the fences that were put around the high schools, that they might be a buzzing system there as well. So before they even got into the parking lot, they had to go through some security aspect there before they even got to the building. Is that being considered or being discussed? The question came up during the public comment.
Yes, sir, and in discussing with Chief, I know that talking to Chief and Captain, they were talking about one of the entrances having to be open just for fire code, but we didn't consider electric gates, so that's something that we need to consider.
Thank you, thank you,
Yes.
Mr.
If you don't mind to follow up with that. Dr. Gonzalez, I think, or to add to what Trustee Sandoval is talking about, certain schools in our neighboring, they have a police officer at that one entrance, and you have to state your business before you get in, right? And I guess we can discuss that at the workshop, but I guess, is that where you were kind of going with that?
Yeah. Because I mean, yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Our goal is to have monitored, obviously, traffic coming in. That's why we want to relocate the huts, but then also
Right.
foot traffic right now, because we know at our secondary schools that you can walk in and get past the reception if she's busy, so. We want to have some presence there, and talking to Chief, it doesn't seem like it'll be an issue to have somebody stationed there, whether they're working on a report or not, that they would be stationed and have presence as they walk into the building, so that.
Check it. And then, Mr. Trevino, you're coming, your previous school district mission, they had that system where you buzz and they have the cameras, you know, where you have to go into the school and you buzz and then they look at the camera and they ask you who you are and all that and you come in. So they actually have two systems. One first before you even get in the parking lot, and then second, when you go to the actual door, you have to buzz again to let them know why you're there. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir, that was in the majority of the schools, not all of them did
Not all
have
of
it. Secondary was a little different
Right.
with the huts, but the elementaries, they do have that system that we're currently looking into installing here.
And your experience that this will fit in with our schools?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz?
Mr. Suarez? I think what Trustee Sandoval is leading to is that at that discussion, I think we all agree that any day that our schools are unsecured is a day that our kids are at risk. So even if we're waiting for whatever process we decide to do come Wednesday, come the workshop, what we don't want is there to be some lapse of security in between now and that time. So I guess my question, Ruben, and I know we're going to talk about this more on Wednesday, but if we were to get the buzzers, how long do those take to get put in, ordered, as opposed to having the security wall? Because I know that they were being popped up pretty quick in the elementary school. I'd hate for us to do the double process and spend double the amount of money. If come Wednesday after the workshop, the board decides to go with the recommendation and do these things, is there a time difference between putting a buzzer in or putting the security wall in?
Based on the demonstration that we had here at Central Office for Administration and myself, the company that we spoke with has a 3-day lead time from the time that you issue a purchase order on 33 cameras with handheld screens, and they pretty much estimated 4 to 5 campuses a day installed. So that kind of gives us an idea if we go with that system.
I just have a follow-up question for Mr. Crane. If it involves security, what are options to discuss this? 'Cause obviously, we don't want to discuss too many things in open. Are we allowed to go in closed session?
Under certain situations, yes.
What are those?
I'll get back. I don't want to use those after.
Okay. And then, Ms. Garcia, a lot of this is on the buy board, right? So we decide to move fast. There are items that within our policy we can obtain pretty quickly.
Yes, sir. We already have board approval to purchase from purchasing cooperatives that would make that process a lot quicker.
It'd just be an amendment to the budget or?
As far as on the budget, yes, we would have to amend our budget. But on the procurement process, there's readily available contracts that we could reach out versus bidding it out, which would take about 3 months.
Okay. That's all I answered.
Anybody else? Questions? Concerns?
No, I'll hold mine till Wednesday.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fine.
Thank you.
Item 7, B2, report regarding employee benefits. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. The district sponsors a self-funded medical, dental, and pharmacy plan. And this report provides an overview of the status of our health fund, our outreach efforts, and status of current claims. And an update is coming on March 9th at the board workshop to discuss a plan performance with regard to benefits and recommendations and such. So we did want to give you all a report regarding at this point, and this is for information only, and I do have Todd who will be discussing.
And just before we proceed, I have a standing conflict of interest, so I'm going to excuse myself.
Thank you.
Good evening. This first slide is the Employee Benefit Health Fund status and projection. It reflects revenues, expenditures, and ending fund balance from 2010 to 2019. I want you to note, please, that 2018 and 2019 are estimated totals. 2017-18, the additional district contribution of $50 per employee per month. So it takes the total district contribution per employee per year to $4,764. Total district contribution for all registered employees was $1,810,306. In 2018-2019, additional district contribution of another $50 per employee per month. And that takes the total district contribution for all registered employees to $1.9 million. Projected fund balance at the end of 2018 is estimated at $3.069,824. Projected fund balance at the end of 2019 is estimated at $442,800. That includes an additional $50 per employee per month employer contribution. And that assumes 0 additional employee contributions. For your information, number enrolled in district healthcare programs, we have 3,311 employees, part of our healthcare, and 2,189 dependents. Any questions before I go on?
Did we include this in the board's
I don't believe this was in our packet.
You're putting it in.
I apologize for that.
Anybody have any questions, concerns? I guess we want to wait to see the report.
I got a lot of questions. I think we all do, but I'm going to wait until the 9th where we can actually sit down and have a workshop conversation. But to see it go from $3 million 2018 to 400, a little over 400,000. You know, obviously we're going to have, and that's after the $50 per employee increase this coming year is being recommended. Is that correct? Going into 18-19? Is that what I just heard, that we're proposing, or the administration's proposing a $50 per employee increase in the health coverage?
There was an increase in employer contributions of $50 per employee per month in the employer.
Okay.
The district's share was increased by $50 per employee per month in this budget year, and we are running scenarios on doing another $50 increase on the district's share for the 18-19 budget, and that is factored into those numbers. However, the huge gap is the rising costs, the expenditures. As you can see, that line is way over the revenues, which is both the district and the employee share.
So to be clear, because I don't want what I said earlier, because I may have misunderstood, is that this past year was $50 per employee that the district contributed to the plan.
The district,
And then
per
now you're
employee
recommending,
per month.
the administration's recommending going into 18-19, another $50
Another
per
50.
employee from the district side.
From the district, both is this district side, totals out to $600 a year per employee.
Okay. But even if we do that, what I just heard is we're still expecting about over a $2 million drop in
Yes.
fund balance.
And that is where the cost containment measures that we're working on would reduce, the target is to reduce the expenditures as well, so that those lines meet closer in the middle. As the optimum fund balance for a fund this size would be $5 million. That's not something that we can get to in 1 year, but it's something that we're working towards. In addition to that, if you recall, this year, we did set aside $2 million for possible transfer throughout the year. We've already transferred $500,000 of those $2 million.
And you're referring to an infusion.
An infusion.
To the plan from our general
A
fund.
one-time infusion
Yeah.
from our general fund to the health fund.
So right now, what we're seeing on this chart, though, is that you mentioned how much was put in there?
So far, 500,000, and I don't think when I worked on that chart, I don't think at that time I had included that. Andy, do you recall?
It's not in that slide.
It's not in that slide. Yeah, that was probably before the transfer.
So what we're seeing there, $300 million más o menos, and the fund balance does not include the $500,000 infusion that you're referring to.
No, it does not. Not, I believe not.
Now, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Is that right?
Finish.
Okay. No, that's all right. Thank you. So are we, on the 9th, are we to expect a suggestion or recommendation about what we would need to do over a period of time? You mentioned earlier that we cannot go from, where we are now to a $5 million fund balance, right? So
Yes.
is there going to be a recommendation, a plan that outlines the time frame for that?
Yes, sir.
So on the 9th of March, board workshop, American Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Valley Risk Consulting will be coming forward, with plan, performance, and recommendations.
During that meeting on the 9th, is the board going to hear or be informed about the audit that was asked for?
I've got some information here in my presentation about the audit. So.
Got to look. Okay.
Sorry.
Then I'll wait for that point. Thank you, Mr. President.
Ms. Salicea?
That's what I was just going to say, is all the questions that he's asking, they're working on them. There's a lot of moving parts, and then on the workshop on the 9th, there's going to be a presentation and recommendations.
Thank you.
You're not done, right, Todd?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so I want to talk briefly about and quickly about outreach efforts. So starting late November, December, we went out and did a bunch of presentations. So 21 before the Christmas break to the different campuses, 11 since the Christmas break, and we've only got one campus, and that's Escondón, since they rescheduled. So we've hit almost all the campuses. We've also done some, we've presented the same information to LEAD, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. Food service, HR, American Federation of Teachers, JPCC executive team, and we're focusing on non-campus team to get the status of the health fund in these areas I'm about to cover. So our presentations included the self-funding concept, make sure people truly understand that we're self-funded and how they impact that and how they drive that. The informed healthcare, making them informed healthcare consumers, drug pricing, how to read your EOBs, et cetera. Benefit communications, and that includes like 24/7 nurse line, healthcare, health plan cost estimator, things like that. Fund balance history, and of course, plan stabilization options or considerations. Employer cost comparison. So Andy, I believe it's about an hour-long presentation at each of these campuses, and he's got some good feedback from those. You asked about the medical claims audit that's being performed by Moss Adams. Contract issues were finally resolved and audit officially started on or about February 1st. And right now they're into the on-site claims testing, and they're projected to wrap up on April 23rd, 2018 with the final report to McAllen ISD. And as I said earlier, the board workshop is scheduled for March 9th. So American Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Valley Risk Consulting will be coming forward with our plan performance and also recommendations. Any questions?
Trustee Suarez?
Dr. Miller and Dr. Gonzalez. Back in November, we spoke, actually October, the importance of having this audit done in a quick manner. And if it wasn't done in a quick manner, and if we waited so long to do it, it was going to interfere with the budget process. Because if we found that something was wrong and the auditors found mistakes, we would at least have time to adjust before the audit. Now we're talking about sitting down on March 9th with the same Valley Risk, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and we're in a predicament that there's no solution yet. So on March 9th, we're going to talk to them, and they're going to give us recommendations, yet we don't even have results from our audit yet. As a board member, I'm disappointed that we would be having these recommendations from the very company that got us where we're at. Now, the best news that we can have is that this audit company tells us they're doing a great job. And, you know, this is just the way, you know, status quo is. And I can live with that. But I can't sit there March 9th and listen to recommendations without the audit being complete. It makes no sense to me. And that's my opinion only. But having served on this committee and being real frugal back 2 years ago when we were seeing this coming, it's very disappointing that audit hasn't been done yet. And that we're going to sit in front of the very same company, listen to the recommendations when we don't even know what the problem is. Just my opinion.
I agree. I concur with that opinion. I don't think we should have anything until we see the audit first. That's my opinion.
Trustee Alicea?
I will say, being on that committee, that there are many, many things that are going to be coming from staff, not from the vendors, that we need to know of and that we need to be aware of. Specifically, formularies. The formulas that these companies are using is very, very important for us to understand. I think the workshop is more of an educational process for us so that when it comes, when we get the audit back, we can look at it and address things. But without knowing the educational components of it, it's very, very important to me that we have this. And the reason that the audit took so long was because there were legalities. It was supposed to start in January because of posting, because of red tape. It was through no part of the districts that it's postponed until April 23rd. And the board workshop was actually supposed to be in January, but because of our calendars, it's now moved to March 9th. So I just think that the workshop is going to be a very informative, very educational, very eye-opening, and I commend you for doing it. I look forward to it.
Mr. President.
Trustee Sullivan?
I appreciate Trustee Aliceda's comments, but if it's just staff, I have no problem with it. If staff is going to be giving us a perspective of where we are, especially if we're talking about increasing any amount of the premium to staff. But in this workshop, it states that it's not just staff. It says here that it's going to be three groups will be there, the three vendors. And I don't think we should have the vendors in play until we have the audit. Because I think the audit, at least from my experience, you want to know what the concerns have been addressed, if any, so that when we have staff look at that and then bring us up to speed, I totally agree with you on that. We need to be educated on that. You have an audit, you have staff looking at what our current situation is with the fund balance, with the various coverages, et cetera, and then you bring in the vendors to have a conversation to say, okay, these are the concerns that were found, how are you going to address it? Because I don't see how you can have that without, with these vendors, without knowing what the findings are.
Well, there was a finding that was found and that we wanted to act on in January, but we can't act on it until the whole board is aware of it. And postponing it another 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, it's imperative that we have that information right now because we could have acted on it in January and we could have remedied a situation that's been going on since January that we've known about, but we need a 90 days notice. So I think that once you go to the workshop, you'll realize, you'll have an aha moment of we do need the vendors there because they have information that they need to present to you that's going to be very, very eye-opening. And I think it's important that you hear from the vendors.
And I concur, but again, with that reservation, normally you would have some audit. But if you feel that way, I'll obviously be there and participate and be eager to learn more. Thank you.
Trustee Villa?
I was only going to say, with them there, we already have some hard questions to ask these vendors. And I think it'd be appropriate for them to present information to us and then to have us ask them those hard questions. We're not making any decisions at that point in time. We're only gathering the information. It'll work out.
All right.
Perhaps the wording should be changed to recommendation and just informative session. Because I don't think we're ready to accept the recommendation. I think what Trustee Alexander and all of us are saying is, that's fine. You want to tell us, that's one thing. But until that audit is done, I, as a board member, wouldn't be appropriate. I wouldn't feel comfortable acting and making the decision.
I totally agree, and I think the posting,
So if it was
that
worded
language has
wrong,
to
I
be out there.
apologize, but that's what I meant.
Totally agree.
Point taken.
Andy, you want to add to this?
Yes, if I may, hopefully this will clarify. Maybe I should have stood up a lot faster. As Ms. Aliceda mentioned, this kind of evolved. We had a plan to present information to the board, but the timing wasn't there. We also had a separate plan where these vendors come to administration and give us an update on how the plan is doing. It's quarterly for the most part. So we had some of those things scheduled. We tried to work them out. We're okay, since they're coming, might as well make that presentation to the full board so that you all can see how the plan is doing. So in addition to that, we consider this the very first step, just like it is a budget process, in hearing what we're working on, administration, Value Risk Consulting being the key in that. He'll be providing some information on how the plan is doing, the funding, the scenarios, those kinds of things. And so it kind of came together. I apologize if the wording insinuates that all decisions have to be made March 9th. That is not the case at all. It's mostly an information part of it. The other thing I'll stress is that American Healthcare, for example, is not part of the audit. So if the concern was that we're going to be hearing something from American Healthcare, that's separate and apart from the audit. The audit is only on the medical side. The other part of that is that any recommendation that Blue Cross may make is not specific to Blue Cross. They are making recommendations on our plan and how it's set up. So potentially any administrator can make those, take those on as recommendations if we choose to make them. So I also wanted to make that clear. So And yes, the audit did get started a little late, but I want to point out something on that too. We did have early meetings with the auditor. My strategy initially had been to at least start it in the last quarter of the year. The auditor right away, rightfully so, said that's a bad idea. They said, yes, you have an October 1st contract period, but your calendar year benefits. It makes no sense for us to start an audit until your calendar year ends. Now then, we also have that complication with the contract that kind of delayed things a little bit. But as far as the auditor is concerned, they're definitely on track, and they expect to have it to us April 23rd.
Any other questions?
And the audit will be a full year audit, is that correct?
It's actually 2 years.
Okay.
2 years. They're auditing 2 years.
So you've got 2 complete windows?
Yes, sir.
Andy, the audit is done by Blue Cross Blue Shield or
No.
Moss
No,
Adams?
We contracted with the group Moss Adams. It's an accounting firm that does some healthcare claims auditing.
Okay. Anybody else? Jeff?
Yes, Mr. President. I try to avoid names because, they're not present, so, but you did. But once again, I look forward to it and we'll participate. But when you have a party that's a subject to an audit, present and giving you recommendations without an audit, that's not the way I've done business in the time I've been involved with these types of situations. So thanks for the clarification, but you didn't make me at ease at all. Okay? Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Andy.
Yes.
Item 7B3, report regarding the monthly financial and investment report for January 2018. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, sir. Ms. Garcia is going to present the monthly financials for January 2018, and this is for information only. Ms. Garcia?
Thank you. In line with the district's strategic plan, once again, as I mentioned in our budget presentation workshop, one of the objectives has to do with monitoring of the district's budget and to ensure that it's in line with the established priorities. So we report on a monthly basis and providing that financial transparency to our community. And this is one of the reports that we do that. This report covers the comparison of budget to revenues, expenditures, and encumbrances, and it is for the period of the month of January 31st through 2018. The report contains a comparison of last year's approved budget and year-to-date actuals in comparison to the current 17-18 budget. Column C is the approved budget, and column D outlines the year-to-date actual. In the top part of the report is the revenues, and of course the bottom half is the expenditures. Year-to-date totals for the month of January 2018 in terms of revenues was $140.8 million, and in terms of expenditures that it was at $124.5 million. And revenues are 16.2 million over expenditures, and that in large part due to our receipt of current tax collections. The next section of the report outlines the district's investment report. The district's portfolio for the month of January was beginning book value was $104.9 million, and the ending book value is $134.9 million. And again, the increase is due to the receipt of property tax payments. The average yield to maturity for the portfolio was 1.308, and in comparison to a 6-month treasury bill for the period is 1.62. This chart outlines the breakdown of the portfolio, and as you can see, it's a very well diversified portfolio. Most of our district's portfolio is invested with the pools. The school district is governed by the Public Funds Investment Act, which only allows us to invest in the highest level credit ratings and secured investments. We also have our depository, which is Frost Bank, and we use that to make our payroll and accounts payable transactions on a monthly basis. In terms of interest rates, we've been experiencing, of course, the whole country has actually been experiencing an increase in interest rates. There's an expectation that there will be another rate hike by the feds in March, and that there's probably going to be a total of 3 increases throughout the year. Now, for the school district, what does that mean in terms of our investments? As you can see on this chart shows from 0 to 30-year investments. The district's portfolio can only be invested in up to 2 years. Most of the district's funds is, let me see, we do have a chart, the bar graph on the bottom, the majority is in daily liquidity. So as you can see, most of the funds are in very short-term investments. And when you look at the interest rate chart, how it's progressed from December of 2016 to January of 2018, you see that the short term has experienced quite an increase. So what does that mean for McAllen ISD? That means higher interest earnings on the money. So to summarize, the interest earnings for the month of January were $134,705.05, bringing the fiscal year to date total to $667,438.10. And that concludes my report.
Questions? I've got a question. On that page where you had the book value, and you said beginning book value was 104 million, ending book value 134. And you said 16 million of that was from taxes collected, right?
That was on the budget to actual report. That's not on the investment report. This report covers the general fund, and the 16 million, as you can see at the bottom, is really what that means is that for the month of January, year-to-date actual revenues received for this year were 140.766 million, and expenditures to date were 124. So if you take those two numbers and subtract them, there's 16.22 million in revenue over the expenditures for the month. Now, if you can see on column F, we still have outstanding encumbrances, which are payroll encumbrances, purchasing commitments that will occur throughout the remainder of the year. So, you know, that 16 million extra, so to speak, for the month will more than likely be spent through the remaining of the fiscal year, and whatever is left over at the end will go back to our fund balance.
But and that's not the page I'm looking at. It's the one that says Portfolio Summary Management Report, where you had the book values.
Yes, sir.
Keep going. That one.
Yes. The difference between the two, the
$30 million difference there. Wait, you said 16 million of that was from taxes collected?
No, the difference between the 134 million and the 104 million is it represents the monthly inflows and outflows of cash. So there's an increase in revenue that came into the portfolio. Part of that is as a result of our tax collections, because December, January, February are traditionally the highest months for collection.
And that 600,000 that you mentioned, that was from January to present, or that was for?
That was from the beginning of our fiscal year, which is July 1 to present.
Anybody else, any questions? Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Item 7B4, report regarding taxes collected for January 2018.
Ms. Garcia will now report on the monthly taxes collected by the Hidalgo County Tax Office on behalf of McAllen ISD for January 2018. And this item is for information only. Ms. Garcia.
The January 2018 tax collection report is before you, and on there it outlines the collections by Hidalgo County Tax Office that collects on behalf of the school district for the 2017 tax roll, and it also provides information on 2016 and prior year's collection, which is handled by our delinquent tax collection attorneys. Current collections for the current tax roll for 17-18 school year is, it is at 86.95%. In comparison to last year around this time was 88.51. Now, that is something that I would like to call to your attention. There is a difference of 1.56%, which means that current collections are trailing in comparison to last year around this time. Now, what does that equate to in dollars? That's approximately $1.2 million. So, you know, we had a conference call with the county, and we also talked to neighboring school districts to see if they were experiencing some of the same lag, you know, and the county is, in their collections, is down 0.5%. Mission CISD was projecting about a 0.9%. And then, of course, for McAllen ISD, we're down 1.56% for the month of January. What they have been seeing recently is that they're receiving tax payments a little later in the year. One of the explanations that they offered is, I know a lot of the homeowners pay through their mortgage, and those collections are very current. However, there's some homeowners that pay that do not pay through a mortgage company and may be relying on their income tax return. They do see that a lot. And he said that they've been noticing that that's been coming in later, so that could be impacting it. We're going to watch the collections and review it again. Of course, it's reviewed every single month, but they're confident that that gap will close further in February. So we agreed to wait till that report, and if that gap does not close, then we've asked them if they could please provide a formal report to the board, because that's quite a substantial difference from what we've seen in the past. If we compare prior fiscal years, we have actually been decreasing in terms of percentage, but it's been very minor and never this big. In 15-16, the total for the year collection was 96.43%. And then the following year, it decreased slightly to 96.31%. So not that big of a difference as what we're seeing, but we will continue to monitor that. On the plus side, the 2016 and priors has increased from the previous year. They're at 25.15% versus 23.17% last year around this time. So that's a positive. And we'll continue to monitor the collections. That concludes my report.
Any questions, concerns?
When you're talking about you're talking about current, not delinquent taxes. You're talking about current that the tax assessor collects.
That is correct.
Okay.
The Hidalgo County tax assessor.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. President, that was exactly my question. I couldn't understand who they and them were, so.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Next item.
Before you move on, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to move a couple items up on the agenda. There are 3 items, 9A2 to be the first item, followed by 9C1, followed by 9D1.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Alvarado to move 9A2, 9C1, and 9D1 up. A second by trustee Vela. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 6-0. So then we'll go to item 9A2, approval of affiliation agreement number 2017-120, Doctors Hospital at Renaissance and McAllen ISD Career Technical Education Program Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. McAllen ISD provides students with firsthand laboratory experiences through coursework that leads to industry-recognized licenses and certifications. This agreement will allow our CTE students opportunities to experience project-based learning in the pharmacy and medical coding programs of study, and we are requesting action on this item.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion by trustee Alicea, second by trustee Suarez. Any discussion?
Just a quick question I forgot to ask you.
Trustee
At our-
Arroyo.
I'm sorry. At our meeting, you know, we pay about $1,600 to $1,800 per student. Is that the normal fee, what we pay across the board? Oh, that's in total, not per student. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yep, that's the way it's read. My fault, I misread it.
Any other questions? I have a question. I read, reading the agreement, and there was some responsibilities on behalf of the district. It talked about criminal background checks on students. How do you all do that? Do they-
On students?
Yes, the participants. Are you aware of that? Lily, are you?
Yes.
I know there was, on behalf of the hospital, they're supposed to provide criminal background on their employees, but I also read on the agreement that it asked for criminal background checks on our students.
But that's already occurring in, with the hospitals we have an agreement with, and it's a background check that will prepare them to screen them for the licenses for the medical coding, as well as the PTCB, the pharmacy tech exam. So it's part of the requirement there.
So
As
is there a
well.
cost for the students to do that?
Yes, sir. And that's provided to the students way before they sign up for the course. I believe it's $30.
Okay. And when you say it's provided, what do you mean by it's provided? The students
It's
are-
the information.
Okay.
The information is provided at the very beginning before they sign up for the course.
Okay, so they're aware that there is a
Yes,
cost
sir.
to that. And
But
then-
we cover everything else. We cover the exam fees, the tutorials, etc.
Okay. There was a couple of items I read on that agreement. That was one that caught my attention. Give me a second, okay? I don't know if I marked it. And the student will be with district staff at all times over there?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, concerns? We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 6-0. Item 9C1, District Operations, Dr. Barrera, regarding approval for competitive seal proposal number 2017-140 Abraham Lincoln Middle School intercom/camera upgrade. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, I thought it was 9A2 was next.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Well, we did, right?
Yeah, we just did 9A2.
Okay. Never mind.
He's reading the same way I'm reading.
All right, thank you. Excuse me.
Is that correct?
Yes, you're right.
Yes.
You're right.
But safety and security is a top priority, and this contract provides us with state-of-the-art video surveillance and intercom system for Abraham Lincoln Middle School, and we are requesting action on this item.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by trustee Suarez, a trustee by, I'm sorry, a second by trustee Vela. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, motion passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Item 9D1,
Yes, sir.
approval of request for proposal number 2017-102- district-wide copiers. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, the district utilizes this bid for district-wide copier services, and we are requesting action on this item.
So moved.
Have a motion by trustee Suarez, do I have a second?
Second.
A second by trustee Vela, any questions, concerns?
Mr. President, no question.
Trustee Salivar?
Yes, sir, thank you. Is the district networking these copiers? So that if I'm in one location, because that was something we started years ago, is this still following that trend where they're networked together?
Yes, sir. They're multifunction machines. They're network printers, copier, scanner. They can email from the machine and even print from mobile devices.
And are they, thank you, and are these the same, do they interact with the ones that we already still have in place?
The ones that we have in place were on a 4-year lease, and this would replace that 4-year lease. So those copiers, multifunction machines would be picked up by the current contractor, and these new ones would be put in place district-wide.
All right, thank you very much. Excellent.
It's unlimited copies, which is phenomenal. We haven't seen that in years, so it's a great savings to the district.
Excellent,
And
thank
said
you.
there was a benefit about the supplies too, right?
Yes, supplies are included. Toner is included. This includes black and white copies as well as color, which you know color is very expensive. It's unlimited color as well. The only thing that we have to supply is paper, and maintenance is also included. They monitor the device to see how the supply levels are, and you don't even have to order. They'll send you the supplies ahead of time, so it's a great system.
Excellent.
Trustee Vela?
Quick question, Ms. Garcia, what's our estimated annual savings?
Our estimated annual savings, I believe, was, yeah, it's 400,000
Great question.
it's the term of the contract. It's in actually the 4 years, so it's about 100,000 a year, but we are exploring the possibility of using this for printing that we're currently outsourcing. One of the things that we're outsourcing right now is Sharon Wells instructional materials. So we're wanting to leverage that. That's $250,000 a year in printing costs. We would, yes, that we would love to transfer to this
We
machines.
could even open up a printing company. What do you think?
Yeah, so.
Print menus.
Any other questions, comments?
Does this vendor do anything else? We'd like this guy. No?
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 6-0.
Very good.
Item 8, actions in closed session. 8A, approval of human resource recommendations for school year 2017-2018. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, sir. Human Resources is submitting a list of recommendations under separate cover for discussion during closed session. We are requesting action on this item.
So moved.
We have a motion by trustee Saldivar, a second by trustee Alvarado. All those, any questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Item 8B, Human Resources Employee Resignations for school year 2017-2018. This is for informational purposes only. Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes, sir. Human Resources is submitting a list of resignations for the 2017-2018 school year under separate cover for discussion during closed session. This item is for information only. No action is required.
Item 8C, pending or potential litigation. Steve?
No report, Mr. Vice President.
Item 8D, possible real estate acquisition. Steve?
Also no report.
Item 9, instructional services, instructional leadership, human resources, just district operations, business operations, superintendent and board of trustees items. Item A, instructional service items, instructional leadership, item 8A1, approval of bid number 2017-112, career and technology materials, supplies, equipment, and related services catalog bid. Dr. Gonzalez.
Our district solicited bids for career and technology materials, supplies, equipment, and related services, and we are requesting action on this item.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Alicena, a second by trustee Vela.
Yes.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Item set 9A2, we've already done. 9B, human resource. Item 1B1, discussion of MISD board policy, DED local, first reading. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. We're proposing to rescind board policy DED local since the current policy does not match current practice, and since we no longer have employees on a 260-day work schedule. This item is presented as a first reading, so no action is required this evening.
I make a motion that we go ahead and, I'm sorry.
It's a first reading.
Oh, you need two?
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh,
On policy,
And this we do.
Any questions or discussion?
just a comment. I still think, and I still believe, and it's in the purview of the superintendent, frankly, but I still believe that they should be paid the $260 They're not, because I think it skews the per hour rate, because what you did is you compressed it to the 242. I've said that before, I still feel that's the case, but it's your purview, so you can decide what to do, but I don't think this is right.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you. Item 9C, district operations. C1, we've already done. C2, approval of MISD board policy, FFAC, local wellness and health services, medical treatment, second reading. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. This is presented as a second reading, and we're asking for approval this evening. And this policy deals with prescription medications and how medications may be administered.
So moved.
We have a motion by trustee Vela. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Second by trustee Alvarado. Any questions or concerns? Having none, all those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0.
Just a question for information. How soon will this be enacted at the campus level? Tomorrow?
Well, first thing in the morning, we'll send this back up to TASB. They'll put the finishing touches to it and put it in the format that this was in drafts, and it'll be finalized, and then bring it back. Then they load it up onto the electronic version, and that's when it becomes active.
Do we have to wait for that to become active, or for practical purposes, can it be?
For practical purposes, it can go ahead and take effect once it's voted on.
Thank you.
It just needs to be distributed to the campuses.
Right, distributed to the campuses. Let us get the format right and get it locked in. We'll load it up here, and we'll let the campuses know.
The reason I asked is there was a particular situation that we needed to address, and if we could do it
Sooner the better. Yes, sir.
As to Mr. Vella's question, though, legally, if an employee incurs something as of today, action, even if they submit it later, or even if the administration takes a while to do the regulation, it applies as to our action.
It applies as of right now, but my concern is, to be fair to all concerned, notice of that new policy needs to be disseminated.
Yes.
Will do. Questions?
Thank you.
Item 9C3, approval of MISD board policy, CDC local, other revenues, gifts, and solicitations. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. This item is also presented as a second reading and for approval, and the amendment it further defines the conditions for donations, but the administration is asking that we not take action on this item so that we, the administration, can further vet the acceptable conditions for donations. So we need some more time.
Yes, sir.
Any questions, comments? Trustee Alicea?
I have comments. I just hope that when you're vetting it, that you will look at the word facility and maybe change it to property, because as I said last time, it's not just facilities and buildings, it's uniforms, it's programs, it's things like that. So if we could somehow either add, just when you're thinking about it.
Yes.
That's all.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yeah, in fact, we had an interesting conversation the other day. Dr. Barrera and I had an epiphany on this issue. Really, you're talking about primarily 2, maybe 3, and they're not being addressed. The first is, as board members, we cannot sign a contract. The only 2 individuals that can sign a contract is once the board has voted, is the president and the secretary of the board of trustees. So it seems interesting that anybody off the street can come onto any school and sign contracts. So I think it behooves us that within our policies that no one can sign a contract unless it's been approved by the board of trustees, and therefore it brings in the president and the vice president on behalf of the board. The other is, in the past, folks tended to donate monies. Sometimes it's directed, and many still do. It makes more sense that we address this from a monetary standpoint rather than items. And the third is, it goes back to the revenue stream, which is advertising. There's certain things that folks want to donate again from a monetary is fine, but it needs to be tied into an advertising if they're going to have their name on it with a contract that's a time certain. Otherwise, you're going to have what we experienced in the past when we started moving towards the marquees and scoreboards is you had someone that had donated no longer exists. And you have to then go back and figure out who bought them out, who now is involved, and then do they want to participate or not want to participate. You know, if you always tie it back into, through the district, through a contract, through the purchasing system, it makes a whole lot of sense. The other element is the warranty aspect of it. You know, as we found early on, Mr. Vela and I were on there, we were finding a lot of issues where warranties were passed. Nobody was keeping track. You may have heard us from time to time say, who's maintaining the warranty? Who's keeping track of the warranty? Because if something goes wrong, you don't want the district to pay for it another time. And so I think those are elements that need to be part of this discussion, and maybe getting it back to a committee level where, you know, it can actually be discussed. But I think fundamentally, we got to include there that you cannot be signing a contract that beholds the district and puts us in a position that is other than what the district would normally do in its normal course of business. And that has to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Well, just to clarify on, are we talking shirts? Or we said uniforms, or did I miss?
Well,
We're just talking property though, right? Not like shirts?
well, that's why we wanted a little more time to look at it. As we brought it to you, it was strictly dealing with facilities.
Right.
And we want to kind of look a little deeper into that, into all donations, and then the process, the system for how donations are brought up.
Well, in just my opinion, like we recognized Abbott earlier, and those shirts provided were a couple of sponsors that came up and donated to them because they wanted to look in uniform for their day when they came and got audited. I guess I'm trying to look for the right word. So I don't want to be too restrictive on certain things like that either, where they have to come and get a contract from us or anything like that. So I think it's good that we probably should have a workshop on this so we can all vet. You know, well, that's true. Or, you know, y'all keep working on it. Mr. Suarez brings a good idea. We have a lot of workshops coming up, so we'll let y'all continue to work with it. I just don't want to hinder too many of them or too many restrictions, but I do agree with the comments that the property and you know, all the other things, we're headed on the right direction.
Well, you know, we bring it to board if it's $5,000 or more for board approval. Anything under that,
Then they won't have to worry about it.
Well, we're thinking it's good to go through the process. It's good to go through the process, and it's a couple of pages there where the donor fills out what it is. And,
you got it.
But there's
I forgot about
no
the
approval
5,000.
for it.
Yeah, you're right. We're good.
Any other questions? Trustee Eliseo?
But I want to make sure that the policy, even if it's only $2,000, if it's a school uniform.
It's still.
If I'm wearing a school-provided uniform at Morris Middle School, if I'm playing Brown Middle School, their uniform better look exactly like Morris. Their booster club at Morris better not have changed it, so they now have an upgraded uniform, but Brown has an MISD issued uniform. I'm not talking about shirts, you know, fan shirts, stuff like that. I'm talking about the uniforms that we provide, that a booster club cannot come in and make any differences to the school issued uniform, to, you know, the band uniform, to anything. If that's issued from the district, it stays that way.
The standard. It
The
must
stand-
meet the standard.
They can't add on unless they want to add on to everybody's.
Good point.
Trustee Suarez?
Just to clarify on the uniforms, I don't know if y'all been to some middle school games now, but I think the athletic department has done an excellent job of making all the sports look the same with the same uniforms. For the first time in a long time, I was super impressed with Travis's uniforms. They look awesome. Everybody has their new Under Armour uniforms.
Yep.
These kids are wearing them with pride, and so that issue of the uniforms has been addressed, and I understood exactly what you were talking about, because it was very obvious when you would go to a game, and you're right, some teams, and when they play against each other, it's even worse. But I'm very proud of what the athletic department has done, and I think we need to continue to do that, you know, in other programs. But if it's a uniform effort where everybody gets the help, and we as a board help them get there, then it makes things so much easier. They can fundraise for other things, like
but not
going to a tournament in San Antonio or Houston. And I hope we don't get into the argument of, well, why does this team get to go to Houston and this team doesn't? It's because then, you know, there's never going to be a perfect solution. Yeah, never.
Mr. President, if I may. Sure. Just wanted to point out also, kudos also to the athletics. I mean, we've done a great job on uniforms, but we also have replacement schedules. So that's something that we're very proud of, is we have a system now for replacement schedules as we move forward, and we have money earmarked to ensure that our athletes always have quality uniforms. So I do want to commend the money department with Lorena, and we're working with Paula and making sure that we put that in place. So thank you.
I just want to say, I wasn't saying that athletics isn't doing their job. I was just saying that if it's provided, I don't want a booster club to come in and up the ante.
Right.
By policy, they can't.
Correct.
That's what I'm
Good.
saying. So
Good
thank you
point.
for everything
Very
you
good
do.
point.
Trustee Saldivar?
Thank you, trustees, Mr. President. And the other element, and I just recall and apologize, we got to look at the genesis of what got us where we are and why we've been moving the direction. And that is, we had budget crisis, and we had to look at how do we cost avoid, expense manage, and also revenue streaming is what has been the focus of this board and administration moving forward. When you start adding components to either facilities or the property, it goes contrary to whatever standards or plans that the district has for that. It now adds costs to the district, because now it could be electrical component that now ties in, so now then you have maintenance and things of that nature. And then if you add a product that maybe not quite will hold up as long as most of what we expect ours to hold up to, then that has to be replaced. And once you get the initial donation, now the district has to absorb that cost. So going forward, we have to be more focused and purposeful, and we have been trying to be, and we just need to start tightening it up together, including regulation. And again, I think the best course has been traditionally, and that's why it's a dollar amount, is it be a dollar donation rather than a product or a structure.
Thank you. Trustee Alvarado?
Just one last comment, and on the uniforms, I agree with your comments about changing. My only other thing that I wanted caution, though, is there's some sports like soccer and baseball that have a $3,500 budget, or a little bit more than that, about $5,000. Paula, what's a?
It's about $3,700.
$3,700. So that's for uniforms and what have you. What it doesn't cover is cold weather gear. So you have warm-ups. They barely have enough to do that. So the booster clubs, a lot of time, have to go beyond and buy the heavy jackets, because sometimes you're playing in 40 degrees.
No, not equipment.
Huh?
That's the regular budget, the equipment.
And I'm glad you're clarifying, because a parent asked me today, said, we're only getting $3,500 for uniforms, so I want to clarify.
That's the regular equipment budget, sir. For the equipment replacement, for example, next year baseball and softball, they will receive $7,000. So what we do when the high schools get that amount of money is we try to be uniform in regards to uniforms. In other words, we're going to say the first thing that you want to buy, you want to purchase your uniform top, your uniform bottom, anything that is game gear, and then we give them guidance in regards to, then we go into warm-ups and things like that. So there is some consistency in regards to what they purchase.
That's an increase of budget amount, though, right? You increased that uniform allowance.
Yes, the equipment replacement, what we did is we divided all sports into 3 years for the middle schools and the high schools, and everybody will get brand-new uniforms.
Okay, and I guess the only thing that maybe you keep an eye on for me is I'm not worried about the varsity. The varsity sports they're fine. I'm more worried about the freshman JV light, because they get the uniforms bumped down. So it takes a couple years for those uniforms to get bumped down to them. So we need to kind of close the gap on them, because I went to one game and it was freezing, and they didn't have the right stuff. So and it's about numbers. We had a lot of numbers, which is awesome. So if you run into that situation, please bring it back to us.
Absolutely.
I hate to see that, because to go into your point, I don't think the booster club should be having to purchase this stuff, right? So what you're hearing from us, and I think we're all in agreement, bring it back to us if you hear something like that, and let us see if we can come up with some solutions.
Absolutely. I think it's important for me, on behalf of all the athletic coaches and the teams, to thank you, Dr. Gonzalez and Dr. Barrera, because I know when we did receive the equipment replacement cycle, I told Dr. Gonzalez we did not take a step forward. I said we took a leap forward, because it was something that's real helpful, because you had time to concentrate on getting the game gear, and then you still had money for your equipment, which is your basic athletic equipment in regards to bats and balls and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's great.
Trustee Suarez.
Paul, I have a question. I know that when we did that Under Armour contract, we get rebates each year, right?
Yes.
Okay, that rebate, is that absorbed and given back to the kids?
A lot of that is for the coaching attire for the coaches. Each department will get, I guess, what did you call it? The rebates, and then the athletic department also gets some rebates. And the rebates, of course, from the athletic department, it's only like $1,500 a year, and it's used mainly for staff gear and for coaching staff.
Is that our decision that we do that, or is that what Under Armour decided to give?
No, it's a decision of the staff. And I think it's important to note that when we do get the rebate, it's not a concentration in regards to, it's only for your football staff. It's for the staff of all the teams.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Dr. Barrera, we had this discussion too, and touching on what Mr. Solivan said about, it's a lot better when they come to us and say, this is what we're proposing, here's the money. I think the district has better buying power, because of the purchase and volume and so forth.
Yes.
And so I think that'd be beneficial. I mean, that seems like the best way to go, because then we have our staff looking at what they want and the design and everything, as opposed to some of them entering into contracts and all those other problems that come about.
Very much so. And it gives us the opportunity to match the standard that we have in place. And it leverages our dollar, or their dollar, as far as, and then we're thinking about is on the application, when they fill it out, they're going to say it's X amount of dollars, this is, and it's for this. Name the product, and then we go out and oversee the project, inspect it, and make sure it matches, and we take it from there. Okay. That's what we're thinking about. That's why we need a little more time on this one.
No, that sounds like a good idea. Any other questions, concerns?
No, sir.
Thank you. Item 9C4, approval of MISD board policy, GE local relations with parent organizations. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. And this policy amendment is specific to requirements for booster organizations and has similar language about donations for our campuses. And this is a second reading also, but we are requesting, again, no action on this item for the same reasons. We want to vet it and look at it closer so that we can come up with acceptable conditions for donations.
Okay.
Any questions or concerns on that?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Barrera. 9D, business operations, approval request, D1 we already did. Item E, almost done, superintendent's items.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. In March, the city of McAllen is hosting an event that highlights women in non-traditional leadership occupations across our city. And one of our directors fits that description very, very well, our very own athletic director, Paula Gonzalez. And here's a short video, a short clip that talks about Coach.
Here she is.
There's Coach right here. So here we see Coach, Athletic Director of the Year. So we know she's there with her wonderful family.
That's her family there.
Yes, and the outstanding board for McAllen ISD.
And her colleagues.
Are we waiting on a video?
No, that's a still shot. Okay, so do want to commend Paula for setting the standard for athletic directors, but especially for young girls that are interested in being athletic directors. You've broken barriers, and I know that as a father of a little girl, I hope that she grows up to be like you, somebody that's willing to take on the challenge and willing to break barriers. And so I do want to thank you on behalf of the administration and on behalf of our board for your bravery and for everything that you do for our district. Thank you, Coach. Yes.
I just want to thank everyone for their support, because it's been a great opportunity for me and my family, and I really do thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I have already been here 6 years, and I've loved every single minute of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
6 years.
You're a little under the weather too.
Yes, Mike. And then I give you my germs. Let me not pass the germs around. Thank you.
Spread them around.
I know, right?
Wow, you're in trouble.
Paula, no offense.
Passing that food around.
A different voice now. It's gotten better, believe it or not.
So once again, Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you so very much.
On a separate note, I did want to take this opportunity also to very quickly thank the community to going out to our town hall meeting on safety and security. Appreciate the community very much for going out and taking time, and for all those that watched online and provided questions. And I did want to very quickly give you some updates on what we've done since that meeting. One is we're going through all the questions right now that were posed online. We had almost 9,000 people watch the event online, with another 200 that were there. So we got a lot of questions come in. We're going through that process. We're almost done answering them all. So we're going to put all questions out by the end of tomorrow. I also wanted to mention that we've been working really hard to tighten up all of our drills. We've done, all 33 campuses did lockdown drills. We timed them, worked out the kinks, so we feel very, very comfortable with how fast we can lock down drills and how serious our students take that. So hats off to all of our campuses. We also did 33 campuses doing medical emergency drills. And not only medical emergencies, but actually walked through case scenarios where they actually had a mannequin and they worked CPR. They worked an AED machine, so they went through a real live situation with medical emergencies. So we're proud of them. Also started the campaign on if you see something, say something. You'll see a sign over there. Those are going to be posted in all of our campuses in English and Spanish, so that anybody out there that sees something that doesn't seem right, please say something to somebody so that we can address those issues in a timely fashion. We also worked with the Family Treatment Program, and you see a sign there that says Family Treatment Program, and it talks about, do you suffer from depression, anger, anxiety, harming others, self-harm, and any emotion in that arena? We're wanting students to know that they can reach out to the Family Treatment Program or their counselors, and we're here to provide them any support that they need, and those will be in restrooms and hallways across our district. We also set up grief counseling for any student out there that is experiencing anxiety because of the events that occurred in Florida or because of anything that's happened in our district with the hoaxes. Please know that we have grief counseling for you. So should you be feeling anxiety, our counselors are ready to move forward and support you. So I did want to take that opportunity once again to thank our community for being there, and to thank our Board of Trustees for setting a high standard for our district. I know that they hold us to a very high standard in keeping our schools safe. So thank you, Board of Trustees. And again, just some examples. I wanted the community to know that we took everything at that meeting to heart, and we're trying to get better. We're not where we need to be, but we're very, very good, and we feel very confident in our abilities to keep your children and our staff safe. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Item 10, schedule future meetings. 10A, February 28th, 2018, 6 p.m. Board Workshop in the Administration Building. 10B, March 2nd, 2018, Board Workshop, 9 a.m., PSJ Administration Building. 10C, March 3rd, 2018, Board Workshop, 9 a.m., PSJ Administration Building. March 5th, 2018, Special Board Meeting, 4 p.m. in the Administration Building. Well, that's our regular board meeting. 10E's, same item, regular board meeting, 5 p.m. 10F, March 8th, special board meeting, 5:30 p.m. in the Administration Building. 10G, March 9th, 2018, board workshop at 4 p.m. in the Administration Building. 10H, March 26th, board workshop, 4 p.m. in the Administration Building. 10I, March 26th, regular board meeting at 5 p.m. in the Administration Building. And 10J, March 26th, special board meeting at 6:15 p.m. in the Administration Building. Any other questions regarding meetings? Anybody want more meetings?
Can we have some more meetings?
Let's say we don't meet.
Should have read the days we don't meet.
Yeah, quite a bit of shorter list.
Item 11, closed session. The Board of Trustees may reconvene in closed session for further discussion regarding the agenda items listed. This time, there's no reason to go into closed. Item 12, Board of Trustees may reconvene in open session for discussion on the agenda items listed. Item 13, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
So moved by Trustee Suarez, second by Trustee Saldivar. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you all. For the record, Mr. President Farina had a previous engagement. That's why he wasn't here tonight. And we'll adjourn tonight's meeting at 7:53.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.